What if the biggest economic threat to the United States right now isn't China, Russia, or any distant rival, but its closest ally? Because something unusual is happening between the US and Canada, and most Americans haven't fully realized how serious it could become. This isn't just politics. This is about supply chains, energy, food prices, and your everyday cost of living. And the next few days could decide everything. Welcome back. Today we're breaking down a rapidly developing situation that could reshape the economic relationship between the United States and Canada. Now, on the surface, it may look like another political conflict, strong words, public pressure, and strategic posturing. But behind the scenes, something much deeper is happening. Because unlike most international tensions, this one is happening inside a system where both countries are tightly connected, economically, industrially, and strategically. And when something breaks inside a connected system, the damage doesn't stay in one place, it spreads. Over the past 48 to 72 hours, tensions between the US and Canada have escalated in a way that's raising concern across industries, from political leaders to business executives, from supply chain managers to energy traders. There's one common question: how far will this go? Early signals started appearing across financial and industrial sectors, not loud announcements, but quiet alarms. Companies began reassessing risk, trade experts started mapping possible disruptions, and behind closed doors, conversations shifted from politics to consequences. Because this isn't a symbolic dispute happening across oceans, this is a direct friction inside North America's economic core. Here's what makes this situation so different and potentially dangerous. The US and Canada don't just trade with each other, they operate together. Car parts cross the border multiple times before a vehicle is finished. Energy flows back and forth daily. Farms depend on cross-border inputs. Factories rely on shared supply chains. This is what economists call deep integration, and that means one critical thing. If you disrupt one side, you automatically affect the other. There is no clean separation. So when tensions rise, the damage doesn't come all at once. It comes gradually. Delays at the border, rising transportation costs, supply shortages, increased production expenses, and eventually, higher prices for consumers. Let's break down how this could impact everyday Americans. First, manufacturing. Factories depend on precise timing. Even small delays can disrupt entire production lines. Second, energy. Canada plays a major role in supplying energy to parts of the US. If uncertainty increases, markets react quickly, and that often means rising costs for fuel, electricity, and heating. Third, agriculture. Farmers rely on stable access to fertilizer, equipment, and logistics. Any disruption increases costs, and those costs don't stay on farms. They move into grocery stores. Fourth, retail and consumers. When supply chains tighten, prices rise. Not always overnight, but steadily, and that's when people start noticing. From a political perspective, strong language and pressure tactics can look powerful, but economic systems don't respond to rhetoric. They respond to stress. And when pressure is applied inside an interconnected system, the effects can come back in unexpected ways. That's the key risk here. What may start as a strategic move can turn into a chain reaction that becomes difficult to control. And once costs begin to rise, the pressure doesn't stay in Washington. It spreads to businesses, workers, and households. So the big question now is this just political posturing or the beginning of something much more serious? Because what happens next could define the future of North America's economic stability. By Wednesday morning, the story shifted from political theater to real-world consequences. Manufacturers recalculated costs, energy planners mapped exposure, agricultural buyers examined fertilizer vulnerabilities, retailers adjusted inventory risk months ahead. Every small move in Washington or Ottawa triggers cascading effects. Trucks, rail cars, and component shipments, the lifeblood of North America, don't wait for political agreements. Even minor delays multiply rapidly across production lines and supply networks. It's a domino effect. One delay, one disruption, one cost increase, and suddenly millions of Americans feel the impact at home and at work. Energy flows between the US and Canada are central to this story. Canada isn't a decorative partner, it's a core artery of the North American energy system. When political pressure enters this system, traders reprioritize risk. Utilities tighten operations. Refiners become cautious. Result? Heating bills, electricity costs, and fuel prices spike. Industrial operations, from factories to construction, experience rising costs, delayed deliveries, and compressed margins. Similarly, steel, aluminum, timber, and specialized components are affected. Every disruption reverberates through everyday products: cars, appliances, packaging, and even construction materials. Margins compress, prices rise, and households pay the ultimate price. Agriculture is another hidden pressure point. Modern farming depends on timing, inputs, and margins. Disruptions to fertilizer, machinery, or logistics don't stay on the farm. They hit grocery stores and consumer budgets. Food inflation accelerates quietly at first, then becomes visible. This isn't just theory. It affects families, communities, and local economies in regions deeply integrated with cross-border supply. Political posturing can look effective, but strategy inside interdependent economies is far more complex. Trump's confrontational style, designed for stage theatrics, can backfire in systems wired for interdependence. Canada, aware of its leverage, responds with precision. The result? A realignment of power inside the system itself. Governors, senators, executives, many caught in the fallout, act as pressure valves, deciding which local risks require immediate mitigation. Small disruptions escalate fast, creating economic ripple effects that touch households, employers, and regional economies alike. Beyond immediate costs, the crisis has strategic implications. Allies watch carefully. If the U.S. weaponizes dependency, trust erodes. Future partnerships may be hedged, rerouted, or legally restructured. Canada and other allies now hold a blueprint for how to counter leverage, quietly, efficiently, and irreversibly. This recalibration may last for years, affecting defense planning, investment decisions, and diplomatic alignment. Even after the immediate crisis cools, the damage is embedded. The assumptions of permanent reliability and integration are weakened. So what does this mean for Americans? Your job, your energy bill, your grocery prices, and your local economy could all feel the impact. Political theater in Washington can create very real stress in everyday systems. Strategic miscalculations in interdependent economies have ripple effects far beyond what headlines capture. The key lesson: interdependence is not weakness. Treating critical partners as expendable invites retaliation that is built into the system itself. And once that happens, trust cracks, costs rise, and recovery is slow. If you want to understand how interconnected our world really is and how political decisions affect your life, stay alert, follow trusted sources, and subscribe for real-time updates. Because in North America today, what starts as politics can quickly become economics, and economics becomes your daily reality.